prehistoric king has been discovered. It didn't walk with dinosaurs. It ate them. Now, join the National Geographic Channel on an epic adventure. Resurrecting 10 tons of terror and teeth. Super Croc.
In these desolate sands, a dragon has been sighted.
It's just enormous.
A monstrous reptile from the ancient past.
That is just amazing.
Perhaps the largest crocodile ever to walk the earth. Now paleontologist Paul Sereno begins a quest to understand this creature.
Some muzzle.
To capture the essence of the beast, simply assembling the bones will not be enough. Paul must get his hands on the creature's living relatives in order to rebuild it. Claws, teeth, flesh and all. To do so, he will team up with modern crocodile specialist Brady Barr. Their mission will take them around the world and bring them into close contact with some of the world's most fearsome crocodiles. From the huge crocs of Costa Rica to India's rare gharial. On their journey, they will draw on the latest surprising research into today's crocodiles.
2,125 pounds.
Will these awesome creatures give up the clues Paul and Brady need to understand the prehistoric beast? To solve the riddle of its bones? To discover just how huge it was? To rebuild the Super Croc? This is a land of dead things. The domain of bone hunters, paleontologists. They have found the skull of an ancient and monstrous reptile. News of the discovery has spread beyond the desert. It has lured here a man more accustomed to the watery world of today's crocodiles. National Geographic field specialist, Dr. Brady Barr. Brady has traveled many thousands of miles to the country of Niger. To a land of camels and Tuareg nomads. Brady journeys beyond the mud-built ancient capital, Agadez, to a remote region of the Sahara called Gardafawa. He has come to see this thing that has emerged from the sand.
That's it. All right, my friend, we made it.
2 days' drive into the desert, Brady finally arrives at his destination.
There he is. That's the man right there.
The field camp of National Geographic Explorer in Residence, Dr. Paul Sereno.
I have pursued crocodiles all over the planet in, lots of different ecosystems, but never dreamed I would be in the desert looking for a crocodile.
I can imagine. I mean, for us, this is the ideal place to find crocodiles. We have just found a skull that really is about the biggest I've ever seen.
Thrusting up through the sand is the skull of a gigantic beast, a tantalizing clue to a lost world. It has been 11 years since Paul Sereno first explored this harsh world.
Bone all over the place here. Look at this.
On 4 previous expeditions, he unearthed clues to Africa's prehistoric past.
Brontosaurus, we've got pterosaur, you've got a sauropod and a theropod. Sunk.
But working in the Sahara has always been a challenge. It is remote, brutally hot, And in the early years, civil war made it perilous. Despite the risks, the rewards have been spectacular.
Wow, that's a big-ass claw.
Through his dogged persistence and the labor of a hand-picked team, Paul has discovered a menagerie of new dinosaur species. Among them, the ponderous Jubaria, fierce Afrovenator, the fleet-footed Deltadromeus, and the ferocious Suchomimus. Paul has revolutionized our understanding of dinosaur life in Africa. And now he has made another amazing find. But this is not the jaw of a dinosaur. These are the remains of an enormous crocodile.
That's what I came to see right there. That's Sarcosuchus?
This is Sarcosuchus, the giant crocodile of the time period here. And we're looking at one huge skull.
It's
It's
giant.
It's an absolute monster.
Sarcosuchus imperator, the flesh crocodile emperor.
Unbelievable. Man, it's mammoth.
Yeah.
This is what I came to see right here. That is Sarcosuchus.
This is monstrous.
Man.
Lying down next to it gives you some idea of the size. I'm 5 feet 11 inches, 5 feet 10.5 inches.
That skull is as big as you.
The skull is just a little bit bigger than me, so it's close to 6 feet
Oh
long.
my gosh. That is a lot bigger than any crocodiles on the planet today. It's one thing to open a book and, read about the history of crocodilians or see a picture of, primitive crocodiles or go to a museum and see a specimen. But it's a completely different thing to come out here into the middle of the desert and see the thing where it laid down and died 100 million years ago. It just doesn't get any better than that.
Pieces of the giant were first spotted out here decades ago. Now Paul's team has found many of the animal's bones and a remarkably complete skull. He suspects that these are the remnants of the biggest crocodile that ever walked the earth.
Sarcosuchus is fascinating because it pushes the limits of crocodiles. What could a crocodile become in the course of evolution?
In the classical tree, where people look at Protosuchia, Mesosuchia, Eusuchia.
Paul aims to use the skull to calculate the size of this immense beast. And to do that, he'll have to carve this massive hunk out of the rocky desert. As the team embarks on this daunting task, Paul and Brady prospect throughout the area, seeking as many other bones as possible from the giant.
Nothing here.
Oh, it's an osteoderm.
Yeah, wow. Very
The osteoderms line the crocodile's skin, covering the back like armor-plated roof tiles.
What's called an osteoderm. That's about as large a skewed as I've ever seen on a present-day crocodile, maybe a...
To understand Sarcosuchus, Paul wants to conjure up the animal's world as it was 110 million years ago.
Now that's just a few grains of sand, and if you're wondering how
The desert today offers clues to the past, but only if you're willing to eat them.
you will be able to tell how much sand was in that rock.
By chewing on the rock and gauging its grittiness, Paul can get a sense of the terrain here all those millennia ago.
And we're in the middle, quite frankly, we're in the middle of a river system with crocodiles and dinosaurs living along the side that are getting dragged down the river. And these rivers were meandering rivers. They were winding rivers, which tells us that the area was pretty flat. And it had muddy sections and it had sandy sections and a rich area of trees, crocodiles. And that's what the story that's coming out of these beds is. That's the kind of environment that existed here 110 million years ago.
It was a world of giants. And among the mighty dinosaurs, there lurked a crocodile that may have been their equal. But how did they interact? Was the super croc prey or predator? Remarkably, today's crocodiles offer clues to help Paul understand their prehistoric relative. In the million centuries since the time of Sarcosuchus, Niger has gone from being a wetland to a desert. Yet somehow, crocodilians are still with us. For a paleontologist, this offers a dream opportunity.
You know, I think that a lot of times we're dealing with dinosaurs. We don't know really what they look like in life and some aspects of their behavior. We have to look at living animals, birds, reptiles, whatever, to imagine how they laid their eggs and lived. When we're dealing with a giant crocodile, Sarcosuchus, the natural thing is to go to living crocodiles. I mean, that is where you'd go to understand the lifestyle of this animal, to get as close as you could.
But getting close to a large wild crocodile is no easy task. And that's where Brady comes in. Brady is one of a select group of field scientists with actual hands-on experience capturing wild crocodiles.
Oh, look at that foot.
I've always been fascinated by alligators, even as a small child. But I grew up in the cornfields of southern Indiana. There weren't many alligators there. Went to graduate school in South Florida, where there were a lot of alligators, and I saw these large carnivores living in close contact with humans.
Brady went on to study how this close contact affected the alligator's food supply. By now, he has handled 10 different species of crocodilian on 4 continents.
Keep going! Oh, look, he's got a small fish in his mouth.
If any scientist can get Paul the close encounter with crocodiles that he needs to understand the super croc, Brady can. But first, Brady will get a crash course in the origins of the animals that so fascinate him. And a baptism by fire in the rigors of paleontology.
A little toasty here, huh?
It's just brutal. I mean, I'm having trouble breathing. It's so hot.
What is the temperature, hon?
It's let's see, it's about 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
120.
Close to 50 Celsius.
I have never been anywhere where it is this hot. I just barely talk, it's so hot.
Well, this is the easy part because we've been just working in 120-degree heat with these brushes. But now we're down to the hard stuff.
I mean, you have to go through this hard stone?
By hand.
You bet.
How?
Yeah.
Just chisel?
And pickaxe.
Gee.
Really a sculptor's technique.
The monster seems reluctant to leave its lair, the sandstone that has been its home for more than 100 million years. They have recovered numerous scutes and other bones from Sarcosuchus, but the huge skull is still entombed in the desert.
Trying to kill it. God, they're nasty. What is that? Look at that teeth. Look at those teeth.
By noon, the heat is unbearable. Even Dino, the camp dog, seeks out some shade. After days of hacking at the rock, Paul's team has nearly carved the skull out of the desert. In preparation for shipping, they give the fossil a protective jacket of burlap and plaster. They will flip the skull over. If they're not careful, they risk cracking the precious bone.
Because if it does break and leave something, it can be a disaster. You can destroy a specimen, and it has happened many times in the history of paleontology where you think you've got it, and then at the last minute, it's gone. You guys ready?
Yep.
Okay, the moment of truth. Heave over! Woo! It's okay?
Nice.
Great. Good job. That was great.
We'll keep this plane right here then.
I just don't see how you work in that heat, day in and day out. I will take my swamps, rivers, lakes, streams, billabongs, bogs, any day of the week. Man, this desert heat is brutal.
Personally, I prefer 125 degrees to mosquitoes.
Early next morning, Paul and Brady leave camp and head back to the dig. The mighty skull is finally ready for transport.
Okay, 1, 2, well, okay.
Paul estimates that the skull and the rock that encases it weigh more than 800 pounds. And there are no forklifts out here.
Got it? Okay. Oh, yeah!
The skull is headed on a long journey, some 8,000 miles to Paul's lab in Chicago. Paul and Brady begin a journey of their own, one they hope will culminate in a face-to-face meeting with the Super Croc. To create an accurate, full-scale model of the beast, bones, flesh and all, Paul has to explore a range of modern crocodilians, and he and Brady will draw on the latest crocodilian research from around the world. How is it that crocodiles have persisted since the time of Sarcosuchus? Their earliest ancestors, curious animals that looked only faintly crocodilian, first arose around 230 million years ago in the Triassic period. More modern-looking crocodiles emerged around 150 million years ago in the Jurassic. As the animals around them have evolved beyond all recognition, the crocodiles have just kept eating their way through them. These creatures boast a remarkable collection of survival tools. Among them, their exceptional hunting ability. The crocodile may be the perfect predator. It can lie concealed for hours at a time. Special receptors lining the jaw sense the tiniest movement of its prey. Perhaps its most unique survival tool is an exquisitely adapted heart. A special valve allows the crocodile to actively change the routing of blood through its body. We know of no other animal that can do this. By directing oxygenated blood to the brain, the crocodile can remain submerged and concealed for hours. The crocodile can go without food for a year or more. But when it decides to eat, it is virtually unstoppable. Another survival tool is an advanced system of communication. They can intimidate their rivals with subsonic pulses. In their mating rituals, alligators use low-frequency growls to make the water on their backs dance. They are highly vocal animals. From the bellowing of adult gators to the mewling of young crocs. In many species, these small noises act as an alarm system when the young are endangered. The involvement of the mother in the rearing of her young is almost unique among reptiles. The female American alligator is among the most caring of crocodilian parents. She helps her hatchlings break free from their eggs and cradles them in her bone-crushing jaws. Perhaps this is a partial answer to the riddle of how the crocodilians have survived since the time of Super Croc. Could it be that the mother Sarcosuchus also cared for her young? Like today's alligator, the huge mother might well have plucked up her newborns. Mini monsters, perhaps 3 times the size of today's little gators, nestle them in her fearsome jaws. Carry them from the nest and deliver them to the primordial river. More than 8,000 miles and 110 million years later, the bones finally make it to Paul's lab at the University of Chicago. This is where his detective work really begins.
Yeah, this is great.
Part of the secret to this beast's existence is trapped in its bones. To unlock that secret, Paul aims to reconstruct the skeleton. He and his team will spend months cleaning the fossils, making copies of hundreds of bones, and assemble the vast skeleton.
Fieldwork is sometimes the hardest thing you've ever done in your life, physically and mentally. Now comes the time when you can unwrap those presents back in the lab, when you can take a shower, come in the morning, clean, and take a look at something that you remember, something that you were very excited about so many months ago in the middle of a desert. I'm really looking forward to see this animal slowly come into view.
Paul's objective goes beyond the science. To capture the essence of Sarcosuchus, he must build a flesh-on model.
To reconstruct something that nobody has seen before, you have a big challenge ahead. You've got to capture something that expresses what that animal was about. You know, when you think about a human, what one sculpting out of all the myriad numbers that have been done of a human would you choose if you could only choose one and had to express something that is uniquely human? Well, I think of Rodin's Thinker. A human poised in thought. And when it comes time to put Sarcosuchus together, we've got to come up with something like that. One pose that's going to capture something about the essence of this animal. Its power, its agility, what it's doing with its life at a critical moment.
Many of those critical moments likely involved hunting and killing. The skull is already giving Paul a picture of the ancient croc's formidable eating habits.
Wow. That's quite a set of chompers it's got on the front. That is some muzzle. Put it over here.
He believes that its elongated jaws suggest it would have eaten fish. But these prehistoric fish were no trout. Its likely prey were 5-foot-long, bony beasts like lungfish and coelacanths. As Sarcosuchus grew to full size, its jaws became more massive, more robust, suggesting that something even bigger was on the menu. Could Super Croc have eaten dinosaurs? Most reptiles, even some meat-eating dinosaurs, have relatively delicate skulls, full of air spaces and fragile bones. But the crocodile's skull is fused into an almost solid hunk. It has evolved to silence large and powerful prey. $110 million years ago, the prey was particularly large and powerful. What kind of bite would it take to bring down a dinosaur? To rip through its leathery hide, to crush its huge bones? A big one. The expert on big bites is biologist Greg Erickson, who studies the biomechanics of feeding at Florida State University.
So this is the main breeding lake here?
He is working with Kent Fleet, an advisor to the St. Augustine alligator farm in Florida.
Small adult females.
They've been asked by National Geographic to try and calculate the bite force of Sarcosuchus. Was it powerful enough to take down a dinosaur? Greg has a custom-made bite bar that will gauge the force of a gator's bite. To estimate the bite force of Super Croc, he will scale this up, way up.
You can imagine there must have just been incredible encounters between, you know, these 35-foot behemoths, and also they must have been taking out very large prey items. I mean, these animals lived at a time when there were all kinds of giant animals. There were dinosaurs and other creatures of the sea that were just enormous, and it's really neat to sort of speculate what that must have been like.
What's the offset? 06. 06, we're ready. Okay, here we go. Hang on, people.
Finally, she's ready, and Greg carefully inserts the bite bar between her jaws.
Mm-hmm.
But she hasn't finished rolling, and now she has Greg's bite bar wedged between her teeth.
Let her down a little bit. Okay.
This animal just generated a snapping bite of 860 pounds, which is an enormous amount of force, and you know, the pressures were extremely high on the tips of those teeth. So if this animal had, say, tried to take out a large prey item, say a deer or something like that, it certainly could have punctured the hide, and obviously it's exerting that kind of force right now. We can't even get our bite bar back out.
To force the jaws open is equivalent to lifting 860 pounds. You'd need a car jack to pry the bar out.
This is a common behavior in them. It's a defensive thing. If you've bitten down on a potential predator or a rival and you hold on to them, they're obviously not going to be able to turn and get a hold of you. An overpowering bite obviously implies some dominance.
20 minutes later, they finally get the bar back. Greg and team need data from different size animals. They move on to test a large male, not knowing the kind of power this animal's jaws will be capable of.
Good bite.
Excellent.
2125.
What's that, Billy? 2125.
2,125 pounds.
God, that's amazing.
Wow.
Over a ton of force in a split second.
The bite force we measured of 2,125 pounds is the highest bite force ever measured for any animal living today. And just for comparison, the spotted hyena, the bone-crushing champion among mammals, only generates a bite about half that, around 1,000 pounds. Animals such as lions are similarly in that range. Sharks are a little bit lower. 2,125 pounds. That's equivalent to putting a small pickup truck on top of this animal's head and pressing its teeth down. As you can imagine, just incredible pressure was generated when it did that bite. In order to generate this 2,000 plus pound bite force, the animal obviously has to have incredibly large adductor musculature, and that's what you see right here, some of the pterygoid muscles. They're just huge. It's just amazing how big this animal really is.
To estimate the bite of Sarcosuchus, Greg must tally bite force against weight. So they have to get this monster onto a scale.
Okay. 662 pounds, 12 foot 2.5. That's a big gator.
But it's a pipsqueak compared to Sarcosuchus.
Clear?
If this animal has the highest bite force ever measured, how big a bite did Super Croc have? To find out, Greg and Kent want to measure a wide range of different crocodile species.
This is where the teeth came across, so we're going to switch to a little bit bigger bar on this animal for health reasons. Everyone okay?
Careful, careful, careful. Got a root.
By plotting the measurements, Greg finds that, not surprisingly, the bigger the beast, the more imposing its chomp.
What we found in this research is that there's a very strong relationship between the body weight of these animals and the bite forces that they can generate. Now, because of that tight relationship, we can predict bite forces for Sarcosuchus.
Greg's data show that Sarcosuchus had a bite force of around 18,000 pounds. Take this bite and multiply it by 9, you get an idea of the bite of the Super Croc.
We think that this animal was capable of eating just about anything it wanted. We know what kinds of animals were inhabiting the rivers from the fossils we found right around Sarcosuchus. There were many kinds of very large fish that reached 4 or 5 feet in length. Of course, there were dinosaurs roaming the banks of the rivers. There were plant eaters like Iguanodon, sauropods, the long-necked dinosaurs, like our Diplodocus. There were predatory dinosaurs. The young of these animals, something like a 10, 12, 15-foot sauropod dinosaur drinking at the shore, this animal would have no problem dragging it down, much like a Nile crocodile today drags a wildebeest under the water into its untimely death.
Paul knows from Greg's results that Sarcosuchus probably had a strong enough bite to take down a multi-ton dinosaur. But just how much crocodile was there backing up this massive bite? Paul needs to calculate how huge Super Croc was. But he has a problem. His animal is missing a body.
There was nothing beyond the skull. It was isolated. Elsewhere in the desert, we found bones of this crocodile, some of them from half-grown individuals, some of them from three-quarter-grown individuals. Here's bones of the back and the armor plates that covered them. Moving back further now, perhaps 15, 20 feet from the jaws, hip bones and a leg bone. Now we come to the tail, and of the tail we have the armor plates. We know it extended further, 25 feet, 30 feet, and into uncharted waters for crocodiles. No crocodile has been found at this size.
So Paul must find a way to chart those waters. In alligators, research shows a firm relationship between skull length and body length. The two are linked by a kind of magic ratio. If the magic ratio holds for other crocodilian species, Paul can apply it to the super croc. The length of the skull will be the key to finding the length of the whole animal. This expert in beasts of the past needs to measure some of today's crocs. And he knows just the man to help him do it, Dr. Brady Barr. Paul heads into the field, to the Central American country of Costa Rica. This land of rivers and rainforest is home to the American crocodile. Paul travels to the west of the country to the Tarcoles River. Here he meets up again with Brady and his colleague, Juan Bolaños.
Our guy.
Hey, Brady,
man,
how's
did
it
you have
going?
trouble?
No problem, no
All
problem.
right, Paul Sereno, Juan Bolaños.
Oh, this is the famous Paul Sereno.
Very nice to meet you.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot about you.
Brady has a National Geographic funded research project, radio tracking crocodiles. And this gives Paul an opportunity.
But never placed his hands on a truly giant crocodile.
Yeah.
Really, you don't?
No, this is going to be a great experience.
Okay.
Yeah. They're right over here. I mean, yeah, literally, let's come on. We'll go. We'll show you right here.
Let's go.
And you're getting ready to experience Land of the Giants right here.
Wow.
Paul is now on Brady's turf.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, look at this. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, and that is a giant right there.
Through much of its range, the American crocodile is endangered. But Costa Rica has worked hard to protect its crocs. Today, the country not only has a lot of crocs, but a lot of big crocs. Even here, though, the crocodile is threatened by an expanding human population. In riverside towns, life generally revolves around the water. Water that is home to the crocodile. As these worlds collide, croc attacks on humans and livestock become more common. People fight back, sometimes killing the animals. In the past, Brady and Juan have captured a number of problem crocodiles and relocated them to more isolated rivers. Brady's research aims to find out if relocation works in the long term, or if the animals end up homing back to their original territory. To do that,
All right, let's go.
he has to capture one. This bridge is a major tourist attraction, and the crocodiles are used to being fed. While Brady rings the dinner bell from the bridge, Paul and Juan head down to the river.
He's moving in. He's a monster.
The snaring may appear invasive. In fact, scientists accept it as a standard practice for capturing research animals.
That's a big one. Man, he's going nuts. He is going nuts. Throw the rope to Sereno, Jerry. Throw it. All right, hang on. We'll be right there.
They have to hurry down to help Paul and Juan subdue the huge croc.
good one.
Has he fought? Has he done anything? It comes in quite easy until you get it up close. But be careful, this thing can explode out of the water.
Okay, let him go.
That's an angry crocodile. That's an angry crocodile. Yeah, he's trying to get both. See, you got those jaws secured? You got it?
Covering the eyes helps calm the crocodile.
Keep your eye out for other crocodiles. Very dangerous. You got the jaws? Hang on, Tim. Yeah. Keep looking for other crocodiles behind us. Very dangerous situation because other crocodiles are attracted to the splashing, come up and eat one of us. Take one from behind would not be good. Ready? No, dos, tres. Watch out for this head. The crocodile will swing his head around, hit you in the face, knock you out.
I got my nose broken by one of them.
Broke his nose. Ready? Come on. Uno, dos, tres.
It takes 5 of them to drag the animal out of the water.
That is one angry crocodile. Can you hold that up? Yeah, thank you.
To calculate the length of Sarcosuchus, Paul needs to measure this crocodile's head length and body length.
Almost 2 feet. Yeah. Yeah. That's why it's important to keep the eyes covered. Yeah. When he sees you, he goes for you. Okay. I'm guessing this animal's about 12 feet long.
You got it?
Yeah, it's on the tip.
We are a half an inch short of 12 feet.
Really? So it's like 12 feet long.
12 feet long.
That's a big animal.
12 feet long.
Aren't these amazing?
Yeah, they really are.
One, the scutes on the Sarcosuchus that we dug up, how big were they?
They're almost 20 inches each
They're
side.
that long.
And at the very front, there's these huge teeth that...
The animal reminds them that it is just resting.
Let's get the legs tied. That's our cue to stop talking and get this thing secured. How about the strength of that animal, Paul? That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Very impressive. It's amazing that we can handle it after we let it tire itself out a little bit. The power, the instant power is incredible, but then it gets tired quick.
Crocodiles are immensely powerful, but they build up lactic acid very quickly, and like a sprinter, they are soon spent. It takes them time to recover.
He's breathing out, and it's cool. It's cool air coming out of there. Even though he's been exercising like a fiend in fighting us for a half an hour, 45 minutes, and struggling up here on the beach. And it breathes out, and it's like an air conditioner.
Now, was Sarcosuchus in the same arrangement? Were the eyes in the same position with the nostrils on top of the snout like this?
Yeah, the nostrils were on top of the snout like that, and the eyes were, if anything, even further to the top of the skull. It was a sabotage predator, in much the same way, but even more.
Paul is convinced that Sarcosuchus hunted in the same way as today's crocodiles, sneaking up on prey with just its eyes and nostrils breaking the water. It is a killing technique that has worked for at least 100 million years. Getting this close to a modern crocodile has already given Paul valuable insights into Sarcosuchus.
Well, I've studied extinct huge reptiles all my life, but I've never had the chance to come face to face with anything large and reptilian. And jumping on the back of one of these things, towing it in, is one of the greatest experiences of my lifetime. It's the first time I've come face to face and touched and felt an enormous reptile.
Okay. Okay, again. So 1, 2, 3, let's go.
To relocate this enormous reptile, they have to load it into a pickup.
Careful, baby, with the hair. Careful, baby, with the hair.
Yeah. We got a 12-foot crocodile. It's about doing us all in.
Oh, wait.
Can you imagine a 30-foot Sarcosuchus?
You'd need a bigger truck.
He's gonna move. Watch out.
The slightest twitch from the crocodile is enough to unseat Paul and Brady.
We should have tied ourselves onto the truck.
I know it. Then it would have just dragged us if it throws you out. Just so strong.
This animal will be released in the Tulane River, about 20 miles from where it was captured.
You got to put the radio transmitter on.
First, Brady attaches a radio transmitter so they can track the animal and see if it returns to the Tarkales.
Yeah, that's great. That's not going anywhere. See if we got a signal. So that's it. We're picking up a signal. Is that a strong signal?
Strong signal, healthy signal.
Now be careful because the jaws are now free. On the left, on 3. Uno, dos, tres. See how colorful he is. Got that mottled look.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Black splotches. Really nice. Good-looking animal.
It looks so peaceful. It looks so placid. After a while, it lulls you into a sense of intimacy. And the moment you release it, you realize what's going on behind the eye in the little brain that operates that animal. It's a little brain, but it's a survivor's brain. I mean, a brain that carried it through millions of years, and a brain that doesn't want to be kept captive by a bunch of puny humans. All of a sudden, that beautiful, placid eye takes on a certain viciousness, and it can turn on you, of course, in a flash of a second.
Look at that. He's taking a look at us. Look at that, taking deep breaths.
Brady needs to capture more individuals to get enough data for his study. And Paul wants measurements from a larger animal, the bigger the better, to approximate Super Croc. The best time to catch a big crocodile is at night, when they are usually less wary. Trying to catch a big, alert crocodile during the day is almost impossible.
Now, Brady, are you worried at all about trying to capture a crocodile with an inflatable boat?
Yeah, let's not talk about it before we go out. Let's get this thing in the water. Okay.
To go down one of these rivers on a fragile raft, and you see all the eyes around you and the reeds around the river, it gives you a sense for what one of these crocodiles is like as a predator. It's eyeing you, you're eyeing it, you really have even the stakes in a sense because you really feel vulnerable. You really feel like you understand what this predator is about.
There he is, right there. Look, 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 look. That's a big one. Look, look, look. You see him? Right there, right there.
Oh, man, that is a good one.
Brady finally manages to snare the beast.
Watch out, he's very close. Yeah, very close here.
Right under the boat.
I got you back up.
Brady can tell by the weight on the rope that this is a serious crocodile.
Just get to shore. I mean, I got a crocodile right here.
How close?
Watch out, watch out. He is right under the boat. I mean, it's strange. It's like slack. I mean, he's not pulling. It's like I'm afraid he's going to bite the boat.
As soon as he realizes that we're not here,
he's under something. Something's going on down there.
It seems that somehow the rope has got snagged underwater.
It's very deep right there, Juan.
There's nothing to do but reach down and free it by hand.
Two crocodiles up ahead. Okay.
Will you push?
Yeah.
Push the boat. Sure. I mean, push.
They know the enormous crocodile is on the other end of the rope, but where?
Man, this is horrifying. I mean, we got giant crocodiles all over the place. They're splashing around. We got an angry 15-footer on the rope.
For all they know, the crocodile is literally right at their feet.
Watch out. I don't know where he's at, Juan. The rope is down under a rock or something right there.
Juan reaches down into the water, but something is wrong.
You keep an eye out for the croc out there.
He manages to free the rope. but it's still attached to the lurking beast.
You want to?
Yeah, take it.
I got it.
So we're gonna cross the river.
I see.
We're almost there.
We're almost there.
there.
Almost there.
Come on, guys.
There's no way to pull the crocodile ashore on this side of the river. They have to paddle across the current to the other side, towing their huge captive.
Everywhere.
We're there.
They're surrounded by crocs.
Jump out.
I just saw a croc there.
Okay. Croc's coming right towards us. We need to get on land. Go.
When they finally get a good look at their quarry, they see that it's as long as their boat.
Yeah, set of chompers. Yeah, he's a big one.
If they can just land it, this croc will provide useful data, helping Paul in his quest to understand Sarcosuchus.
Okay, I need someone here.
Okay.
It falls to Paul to cover its eyes.
Watch out. No. One, you're gonna have to get on the back legs.
Yeah, sure.
I got the back leg. You have a back leg? No, you have the front legs, my friend.
Baby.
I've got it. I got the back leg. Okay. Somebody get the front legs. He's the towels. And
Put your hand like this.
yeah. I'm all right. He's not gonna get me.
And hug him.
Yeah.
Hug him and let's push him out of here.
Man, he's a giant.
Okay, ready?
Hold on, guys.
You want to try and move forward for them?
Yeah. 3.
Yeah, he's more than 1,000.
Oh man, this thing is well over half a ton. You ready? 1, 2, 3. Oh man, look at that head. This is the closest you're gonna get to a living dinosaur. That is a monster. Juan, this may be the biggest one we've ever captured.
Yes, sir. You bet it.
Yeah, let's get this tape measure on him. Whoa. Right there. Wow. 65 centimeters. Wow. That's a big skull.
Big, but less than half the size of Super Croc's skull.
Enormous. We got a 14-foot croc. I knew it was big.
No matter what he does, don't
get
jump.
off. You don't get off. Don't worry about me.
Paul has his data, so they decide to release the animal back into the river.
Whoa. No. Don't get off. Don't get off.
No one's getting off.
Don't get off. Get those legs off the ground.
Paul has never seen a fossil do that.
He's strong.
The animal seems hardly to notice the weight of the 4 men on its back, and it's a fraction the size of Sarcosuchus.
Before we jump.
I know.
We need that jacket again.
Throw me the jacket, please.
Aren't you gonna do the thing?
Wait, do it. Damn. Don't do that.
Baby, do we still have?
The jacket spooked the crocodile, causing it to strike.
Give me a rope. Give me the snare. Give me the snare back. Somebody give me the snare. Okay. Am I doing the count?
Yeah. Count of 3 and not before. Well,
I'm just gonna take this off.
So it'll be lunch meat.
He'll get rid of it.
Let's just do it.
You gonna
Everybody
leave it
ready? No, I'm gonna take it off.
Take it off.
Everybody ready?
Yeah.
Juan, you ready?
Yep.
Okay, when I say 3,
We move.
yeah. 1, 2, 3. Whoa.
Oh, that's fantastic.
So how'd it feel? How'd it feel to sit on something that powerful?
No, it felt like you're riding a horse. I mean, it was that wide. It was really had an incredible
Well, like
body.
riding 3 horses, man.
Riding 3 horses. That's right.
Well, you know, I came with the aim of taking measurements, but there's nothing like actually getting on the back of one of these animals to sense, you know, the power. Because what we're going to be reconstructing is an animal of basically a similar design, but something 3 times the length and maybe 10, 12 times the weight. So to feel the way it moves, where it's stiff, where it's flexible, the way the eye, looks at you, the way the ear flap covers the ear, the coldness of the breath. I mean, all these things are things you'd never really have a chance to experience, but are ultimately figuring in when you have to reconstruct something that once was.
Oh, look at that.
Paul feels he's close to appreciating the essence of this animal, the essence he hopes to capture when he rebuilds Sarcosuchus. He's still not certain of just how big it was, but he uses the preliminary measurements from Costa Rica to calculate that the super croc was well over 30 feet long. Sarcosuchus fascinates Paul and us, not just because of its size. There's something else about crocs that grabs our imagination.
How they move. Pretty face and pretty wild.
We enjoy a primordial fascination with an animal that could eat us. Whenever crocodiles and humans overlap, these intimidating animals often become cultural totems. The ancient Egyptians revered the Nile crocodile, even mummifying them. Many believe that the dragon, symbol of the Chinese people, was inspired by the Chinese alligator, today among the most endangered of crocodilians. In Papua New Guinea, young initiates scarify themselves in imitation of that country's endangered crocodiles. For most of us, crocodiles are seldom a real danger.
It's killed 5 people already.
Today they've become B-movie monsters.
And it's about to break out.
Stereotyped as savage eating machines. Our fascination with crocodilians has led to a thriving business in which the crocs are performers in what amounts to a circus act. At Gatorland in Orlando, Florida, one of the prime attractions is something called the Jumperoo.
Now what we got to do is yell those words.
A performance which combines feeding time with showmanship. Though it may reinforce the stereotyping of crocodilians, this spectacle inadvertently led to a remarkable development in croc research.
Are you ready, Muggsy?
Research into a survival tool that people might not associate with crocodiles. Intelligence.
All right, when we began the Jumperoo show, it was basically started out as a feeding show, but to entertain guests, we said, well, we'll give a few of them names. So we started just calling some of the alligators by name when we were feeding them. And then we learned what we do was call their name, and they started to respond to their name. Even at a distance, they could be looking the other way, and they would turn their head. You would say, hey, Mike. And the alligator's head, Mike, would turn over and look at you. So we started to see a pattern of some of these animals recognizing their names, which is really interesting, and we think that we can maybe utilize this and modify some of this training.
Lucy!
Gatorland's general curator, Flavio Morrissey, decided that the perfect subjects were the Cuban crocodiles.
Lucy, water. Lucy, water.
They are highly endangered in the wild and widely considered the most aggressive of crocodile species.
Good job. Good girl. When we first got these animals, they had an extraordinarily strong, aggressive, associated behavior with food. So whenever it was feeding time, they were running to wherever we may have been. And it's not one crocodile coming at you, it's 6.
Go. Ricardo, here.
But through a process called operant conditioning, Flavio and his colleagues have wrought a remarkable change in the Cuban crocs.
Ricardo, here. Ricardo, here.
Even though the croc Lucy is right at their feet,
Here.
it is Ricardo that responds.
Ricardo, up. Good boy. Oh, that's a good boy.
Usually we hold at this point for a few seconds, and then we're going to ask him to go to the water. Sometimes we have to touch him on the nose
Ricardo, water.
with the tongs. Again, the name, Ricardo, and then water. We're associating his name with that command.
Water.
Now he's going to back up into the water, and we're going to positively reinforce him with a small piece of chicken when he gets back into the water.
Water.
Lucy! Here!
Oh my gosh, it's just been so much of a pleasure to feed them and not worried about if you're going to get your leg or arm pulled off by these crocodiles.
Good girl.
And people from outside Gatorland, other professionals, seem to be amazed over this as well, because some of them have worked with these particular animals and other Cuban crocodiles, and usually they have this reputation of just being pure nasty.
Lucy, water!
They haven't completely managed to counter the Cubans' aggression as yet.
Water! Good girl. Water.
Crocodiles are often considered primitive beasts. Could it be that instead they have survived since the time of Sarcosuchus because they are smarter than they look? When it comes to crocs, appearances can be deceptive. Many would call this a feeding frenzy. In fact, it seems to be a delicate dance, reflecting a carefully observed social hierarchy. Paul is discovering just how well equipped the super croc was for tearing things apart.
At the front, an enormous set of teeth project downwards and inwards. And these teeth are not slender, hook-shaped teeth for catching fish. They oppose another set of tusk-like teeth from below here.
Sarcosuchus could have used this lethal combination to rip huge chunks of flesh out of its dinosaurian prey. Once the crocodile had swallowed these vast gobbets of meat, it would have to digest them. How would it break down the tough hide and pulverize the massive bones? Again, modern crocodiles and their innards may provide an answer. Adam Britton is a researcher at Crocodilus Park in Australia's Northern Territory. One of his experiments involved inserting small data loggers into crocodile stomachs. Of course, he then had to retrieve them from the belly of the beast.
This crocodile has been sedated. So that means she's relatively safe. But it doesn't last forever. So what we're going to do is just tie the jaws at the bottom here and also tie them up at the top. Just so that when she does start to wake up, she can't take my arm off. I might be crazy, but I'm not stupid. Okay, I'm just going to put some oil on my arm, just so that my arm goes down the throat very easily. Only ever use the best virgin olive oil for these animals. Okay, now for the fun part. Okay, I just need to put my hand back beyond the palatal valve. It's very cool and wet down here. This might seem like a very strange way of getting anything out of the crocodile's stomach. But to be honest, I'd much rather do it this way than any other way. It's fast, it's efficient, it works every single time. Okay, now I've got my fingers to the opening of the stomach. Now I can push my hand forward into the stomach, and now I'm in the stomach.
Adam is not the only one inside the croc's stomach.
Crocodiles have got lots of parasites in their stomach. These things called roundworms.
We can only speculate as to the gruesome parasites that could have invaded the guts of Sarcosuchus.
And yeah, there's a few interesting things in here. Aha. That might be our data logger. Yeah, I can feel a logger. I'll tell you what, it's been completely smashed. bring my arm out. Ah, hold on, bud. I just got these teeth stuck in my shirt. Can you get them out? Bitten by a sedated crocodile. Whoa. Oh my goodness. Huh. So this is the data logger. This is the actual recording device. And this stuff here is the acrylic casing. This was actually covering the logger.
Something inside the crocodile's stomach has mangled the tough casing.
And these stones, these gastroliths, these are the culprits. This is what did it.
Crocodilians deliberately seek out and swallow these stones.
And you can imagine if my arms were the animal's stomach, if my hands were the stomach here, that when these stones are there and there's some food in here, you can just imagine it sort of grinding stuff up like that. Very good at smashing up hard objects like turtle shells.
Such stones are found in other animals that are related to crocodiles. In birds, the stones of the gizzard serve the same function. Perhaps most surprising, they've even been found in dinosaurs. In fact, if you opened up a Sarcosuchus, you might find a collection of golf ball-sized gastroliths. Enough to grind up a dinosaur.
You ready?
Paul has finished the cast of the skull. The fossil itself is too valuable and too heavy to use in the Super Croc's reconstruction.
Wow. Now we have an exact copy of both upper and lower jaws, and we can, for the first time in 110 million years, put them back together again to see how they operated and what they look like. Right there. Inside we go.
Paul has never seen anything like this. He believes the snout has no parallel in the history of crocodilians.
Right there. We're really surprised at the end to find this enormous schnoz. I mean, we just really didn't quite expect the size of this thing. And then the way these teeth interact. I mean, both of them are absolutely unique to Sarcosuchus.
Paul speculates that the scoop-like snout may have generated noise to attract mates or intimidate rivals. In either case, Super Croc's vast bellow reverberating across the prehistoric landscape would have had the desired effect. Whether mating or battling for a mate, crocodiles often injure each other. Croc researcher Adam Britton wondered how they could survive such a brutal ordeal.
Crocodiles are very, very powerful animals. They fight all the time, very territorial animals, and we all know how efficient they are with their teeth. They will rip each other's limbs off, almost without a second thought. They bite each other's tails off, and when they're fighting, the teeth can cause amazing gashes down the side, open the animal up, expose the muscle. If you saw any other animal receiving the same injury, you might think, you know, this animal is a goner. At the very least, it's going to get infected. Bacteria are going to get in there, the animal's just going to die from some kind of septicemia. With crocodiles, it just doesn't seem to happen very often. And so, you know, why? Why not? What is it about these animals that stops them from actually really suffering very badly from these kind of injuries?
Adam helped make the remarkable discovery that one species, the Australian saltwater crocodile, has a natural antibiotic in its blood. This powerful agent may protect the salties from infection. But do all crocodilians enjoy such protection? If so, it may offer another clue as to why crocodiles are such survivors. Adam can't know without more evidence. He needs to test the blood of a different species. Adam heads to the McKinley River, home to a healthy population of freshwater crocodiles.
He's making some distress calls now. Basically means that he's not very happy. They start producing distress calls when they're hatchlings, and that will actually bring help from the parents But the bigger they get, the lower the frequency of the sound gets, and the other animals tend to ignore them after that. So he's just letting us know how annoying it is. Got it?
For the test to be scientifically valid, they'll need to capture several of the animals.
Catch. That's great. Let's go in. Good enough. Yeah, let's go. Should be enough. Not a bad one, have we? You got the syringe and the needle. I'm going to try and take a blood sample here from a vein just behind the skull. It's very large and it just sits above the spine.
Naturally occurring antibiotics have been found in many very different animals, from the skin of frogs to the windpipes of cows.
But with crocodiles, it's very interesting that they have it in their blood. That's a big advantage for them because it means they can basically get the antibiotic to any part of their body really very quickly. So it's an extremely effective defense for them. Here's a big croc. Now check this injury out on here. He's obviously been fighting. This injury is probably about, looks about 2 days old. A couple of big gashes down, fighting with another big male by the looks of things. If we were to sustain something like this, after a couple of days, especially sitting in this kind of water, full of bacteria, it would look a lot worse than this. We'd probably be in hospital by now. With these animals already, this is showing signs of healing. So there's something very interesting going on inside these animals.
The blood samples are shipped all the way from Darwin to a lab in Newark, New Jersey. Here, Dr. Vicky Kaiser has developed a technique for testing blood for natural antibiotics. She separates the blood into hundreds of samples. Each one is tested to see if it kills bacteria. Five hours later, the samples show results. Around sample number 5, the bacteria were unable to grow. That means that, like the salties, the freshy blood does contain an antibiotic. Natural antibiotics can kill bacteria, as they can other simple organisms like this paramecium, by compromising the cell membrane, so the insides leak out. If crocodiles as different as salties and freshies both have this kind of antibiotic, then maybe it is common to all crocodilians. It's quite possible that Sarcosuchus too shared this remarkable survival tool.
Okay, so when I take this off, he's free to open his mouth.
Back in Australia, Adam releases his captive crocodiles. And something curious happens. The freshies literally gallop back to freedom.
Crocodiles gallop to get away from things. When they see any kind of threat and they're out of the water, which is not a safe place to be, then they just want to get back to the water as fast as they possibly can. And they'll move extremely quickly.
Crocodiles are unusual among reptiles in that they use a range of gaits to get around. Only the smaller, more terrestrial species gallop.
He's gonna go.
More common is a kind of crocodilian strut called the high walk. In times of drought, alligators use this walk to travel overland in search of water. It is a capability that may be key to their survival.
It's not a very fast gait, but it's a very useful gait in that the animal lifts its body off the ground, it can walk over obstacles.
At the other extreme is the belly crawl.
The advantage of having different ways of moving is that you have a choice, depending on how fast you want to get from A to B. So if you're on a very nice, slippery, muddy bank of a river, for example, and there's not really much rush to get there, then you can use a belly crawl. You simply slide down like a toboggan. Just use the limbs to literally propel yourself forwards.
Having a choice of different gaits is yet another way in which crocodiles are adaptable. And that kind of flexibility is the key to evolutionary success. Whether Sarcosuchus shared this is unclear, but Paul now knows enough about the animal to speculate about how it moved.
I think that probably Sarcosuchus would not have been as agile on land as a modern crocodile simply by the weight of its body. I would not say that it was not a quick animal. Their burst speed of even large and heavy animals was probably very great. The power would have been phenomenal. And I think leading that kind of sabotage ambush lifestyle, it would have been extremely effective against animals hiding out in the water. To have this animal at 30-foot length with an enormous tail powering itself out of the water in a flash of a second.
The Super Croc skull is complete. But to resurrect the whole animal, Paul needs the other 250-odd bones that make up a crocodile. He brought back from the desert bones from various individuals, but never a complete skeleton. Fortunately, he knows someone who can fill in the gaps. In the wilds of rural Maryland, there is a man who spends countless hours surrounded by his kids' toys, carving gigantic pink bones. This is Stephen Godfrey, part paleontologist, part sculptor. Behind its skull, the Sarcosuchus skeleton is similar to that of a modern crocodile, though it's many times as big. So Stephen uses bones from a contemporary croc and quadruples them in size to match the enormous Sarcosuchus skull. Stephen sends his sculpted bones to Paul in Chicago.
Waiting for him for about a week now. Wow, look at that. Look at this. This is the missing hip bone.
Here, Paul's team makes molds of every bone in the skeleton, which are then shipped to Canada to a company called PAST, Prehistoric Animal Structures. Here they turn disjointed bones into skeletons.
This guy rolls on this thing.
The portrait of Sarcosuchus is becoming clearer. Modern crocodiles have provided a lens through which to view this prehistoric beast. Through that lens, we have seen that Super Croc may have had a wide range of survival tools on which to draw. From a staggeringly powerful bite to a natural antibiotic in its blood. From sophisticated parental care to an unexpected intelligence. But Paul must still answer two final questions before he can complete the finished Super Croc. Exactly how long was it? And what pose will best embody its essence? For the answers, he must head into the field again. This time, he seeks a crocodilian that more closely resembles Sarcosuchus. There is such a creature. It is rare, endangered, and exotic. But Paul knows just the man to help him find it.
Driving's more dangerous than the crocodiles, that's for sure.
Paul joins forces once again with field specialist Brady Barr in India, where they headed to a crocodile breeding facility in the town of Lucknow. they stop off en route to buy a net.
Nets are hard to come by in other parts of the world. There's a lot of work in that.
They are joined by Brady's colleague, Jerry Martin, an Indian herpetologist with expertise in his country's crocodilians.
You don't want it to get it, you don't want it to have to fight against something that's really strong.
One of those species is the object of their mission, perhaps the oddest of today's crocodilians, the gharial. It is the gharial's curious snout, so similar to Sarcosuchus's, which has brought Paul here.
To actually see a surviving relative of one of these animals is just going to be spectacular. Just the way they move, the way they hide, the way they hunt. I'm going to be very curious about how its snout operates and how it lurks about in its habitat. I think it'll be very fascinating.
The team will work at the Cookrail Gharial Rehabilitation Center.
What are you looking for? Yeah.
Oh, I see. Oh, it's going down. It's going down. There's 3 of them. You know, to capture the gharial means so much to me, being a crocodilian biologist, because it was so close to the brink of extinction. I mean, it was right there. I mean, it was ready to be marked off the list. So what an opportunity for me. I mean, it really is a chance of a lifetime.
They're heading for cover. We got to work it out for ourselves.
I know it. Let's see if we can catch one.
Jerry Martin, one of the few people in the world with hands-on experience of gharials, knows that this task requires a paradoxical mix of brute force and a delicate touch.
The gharial's specialized jaw is very narrow, proportionate to its body, and it's very thin, and it's a big, heavy animal. It's very muscular because it swims a lot. So when you catch a gharial, it lashes around a lot. You might very easily hurt, damage, or maybe even break off its jaw. So you have to play it like you're catching a 2,000-pound marlin on a 2-pound test line. You need to be very careful.
Brady will have to be cautious and patient. The gharial is particularly hard to snare. Its snout is sensitive to the slightest movement.
Come this way.
They're all in a small space.
Brady has his eye on the big male, with the distinctive gara on the tip of its snout. But there are 8 gharials in this pond, and it's the crocodile you don't see that you have to fear. He must have literally stepped on one of the other animals. It reacted by swiping at him, raking his ankle with its teeth.
It's a good thing.
He was lucky it didn't actually bite him.
Just get this guy done with and you can see your legs. That's good. Yeah, it's going. It's out.
Should I just keep going?
Yeah, keep going back.
They finally managed to get a rope around its snout.
Stubby form. Look at it. It looks like they've been...
Okay, can you guys pull him up a little further?
Yeah, we need to put him up straight here. Get more tight, so very tight.
Because he's going to jerk. Hang on tight.
Whew. Oh, man, we caught the big boy. Caught an adult gharial. Took a bite in the process, but it was well worth it.
Do you mind if I clean this leech off his back?
Nah, concentrate on holding
Yeah, you holding those legs, quit fooling around.
Yeah, Sereno's back there playing games.
No, just trying to clean a leech.
When I helped him dig up these bones, I was focused the whole time. I bring him out here helping us, and he's fooling around.
We don't have leeches on our boat, man.
Beautiful animal.
Yeah, this is amazing.
He's taking a big breath. Yeah, I'm looking at these scoots and I'm thinking, how much bigger Sarcosuchus is than this
Yeah, well,
thing?
you ought to look at these teeth up here.
Whoa.
Man, these things were almost extinct, you know, in the 70s.
Down to just a few.
Yeah, just less than 200.
I mean, and that's worldwide. That's animals in zoos, breeding facilities, and in the wild, less than 200.
But now they've come back.
Yeah, it's a real success story. Put your hand here.
Cool. Handling this animal, which so resembles its ancient relative, is as close as Paul is going to get to the Super Croc.
I'm thrilled, of course, to actually be up and actually feel the body of one of these things, because you're normally dealing with these impersonal fossilized bones. This is really up close. It's fabulous. It's unbelievable. You go over the big hole for the jaw muscles in Sarcosuchus, and now you can actually see the pumping muscle right underneath there. And you know, we're dying to see how much it looks like this animal. But this is just amazing.
383.
Wow. 12 feet said 12 and a half feet. 12 and a half feet.
That's a big animal.
Yes, it is. I'm all set up front here.
Paul begins to collect a range of data. To get enough measurements, they must capture a number of animals.
61.
Woo!
Paul, you want to help him with that?
Yeah.
Paul is interested to get measurements from both ends of the size range. The hatchlings are wonderful miniature copies of the giant they earlier released.
We just settled for the largest.
Yeah, right.
All right, you guys ready? Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
It's looking over here at me. Woo! You hear that snap? No, stay there. You're fine. You're fine. Wow.
Stay still. Don't move. Don't move.
All right. Look at that. Don't move. Woo! All right, put her there, guys. Get it, man. All right. Yeah.
Back in Chicago, Paul now has the critical information he needs to finally calculate the length of the Super Croc. Using the data from India and Costa Rica, he generates the magic ratio, the relationship between head length and body length in Sarcosuchus.
Based on our measurements on living crocodilians, we think that Sarcosuchus measured 8 times its skull length. That's a lot longer than 20 feet, the record for a living crocodile. That's more than 30 feet. That's a 40-foot crocodile. A croc that even Brady would think twice about jumping on the back of.
Almost a year after they carved the skull out of the desert rock of Niger, and after months spent cleaning and studying bones, after traveling across the globe, capturing and measuring crocs, the culmination of Paul's quest is at hand. In a studio in the Rocky Mountains, Super Croc is coming to life. Paleoartist Gary Starb is creating the flesh-on model. Now Paul is going to get his first glimpse.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. You're a monster.
He is a monster.
Wow. Look at this leg.
It's a massive beast.
Wow, you've got just a beautiful motion going here on this. It's just absolutely gorgeous the way this thing is turning.
It's got that nice side slashing S-curve.
Wow. So you have to build quite a structure to hold this clay.
Right now we've got about 4,400 pounds of clay. So, and I'm sure we're going to come very close to about 5,000 by the time
More than
we're done.
2 tons of clay. Can you imagine being hit by this tail?
I think this tail could flip over a truck.
And I love the way this skull is just tilted and gaping, about ready to swallow you.
For Paul, it is remarkable to see the animal he's been imagining for so long finally made flesh.
I've been dealing with static, beautiful but fossilized bones, individual bones. To see it together is just amazing. This really gives you a sense of the animal. You know, I've hopped on the back of a live crocodile. That was an amazing experience. To feel the power of the animal, particularly when it's coming back and ready to throw you off its back. And to imagine this animal alive would be incredible.
Yeah, it's funny because the people who have been in here and have seen it have said, this can't be life size. Can it? I said, it is life size.
You've got a dinosaur eater here.
Paul can now visualize the dinosaur eater. 110 million years ago, lurking in one of the huge rivers of the day. Its massive body concealed, primed for ambush. A group of juvenile ouranosaurs drinks warily at the water's edge. The Super Croc's ultra-sharp senses zero in, picking up the ripples from the lapping herbivores. The combination of speed and power is devastating. Its jaws slam down with many tons of force. Huge teeth penetrate the dinosaur's leathery hide. It is a 110-million-year-old drama that still plays out today. For Paul and Brady, there is one last trip to make, one final crocodile to encounter. They have come to see Sarcosuchus, the Super Croc. Months have passed since Paul last saw the unfinished model. Now the Super Croc and their quest are complete.
Oh, and it's bigger than I imagined.
That is beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah, that is just beautiful.
And the way he's got all this.
And the detail is just amazing.
Yeah, no, it's just beautiful. When you see something that is so magnificent, that is so beyond human comprehension in terms of power and size, we tend to be awestruck. The most fundamentally important thing, I think, about Sarcosuchus is to get people to step back and think of 100 million years. Think of how much time has gone before them. Think of how many worlds with strange animals, bigger and more fearsome than they ever could imagine, existed before humans came on to reshape the surface of the earth.
The disappearance of Sarcosuchus shows us that extinction is a fact of life on Earth. But the Super Croc's legacy is alive in 23 species of crocodile, many of them endangered by the works of man. But today, all 23 species are protected. We know we can speed up the extinction process, but we can also slow it down. If we decide to do so, perhaps these magnificent beasts, the ultimate survivors, will outlast even us.